Welcome back, fight fans. Yes, Mr. Eddie Hearn is back. You know, he had to go show some love to his Brits, our boys, Addy and Tony, but he's back with Ak and Barak. Welcome, Mr. Eddie Hearn.
No, what it is we got to split him now. You know, he's such,
I didn't actually know. Now. You know that moment where you press, you know, start video on Zoom and it's like, whoa, Addy, Tony, what's going on? You know,
he's in such a high demand that we have to split him up.
You felt when you saw them, you said, a safe place.
Yeah, I was like, wow, no more arguing, no more tough questions.
These guys are not going to give me
Tony's my bestie, you know, so it's like, you know.
Look, let's get into it really quick, Eddie. Conor Benn, we just chopped it up with Mauricio Suleiman at the WBC. They have cleared their path for him. How long before he gets his license back and he gets to get back in the ring?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, number one, you know, I have to be careful what I say because there's a few bits ongoing still, but it's like we weren't over the moon with the
process.
Not really the process, but more the document. Ultimately, the release that came out, because there's a lot in a 270-page document that was either ignored or not. Yeah, it's difficult, you know. If we're just having an honest conversation, it's difficult for the WBC here, right? It's, you know, we believe that Conor Benn is innocent, but for many of the reasons that had nothing to do with what the WBC actually put out, you know? So yes, we appreciate that the levels in Conor Benn's was a clear sign of contamination, but actually Conor Benn's reasoning for his innocence was not conveyed in the messaging of that report. So look, we want to get Conor Benn's career back on track, but Conor is like a caged animal at the moment in many respects. One, he wants ultimately the kind of substance of that report to be seen and heard, and for that to be recognised in the process. And he feels like it hasn't been really, but at the same time he's been found not guilty and clear to fight. So it's like, at what point, you know, Conor wants to fight the world at the moment, in the ring and out of the ring, right? But at what point do you just say, look, let's go now? Like,
yeah, but Eddie, if these organizations aren't relaying that message that he wants conveyed, right? He has a big social media platform. Matchroom obviously has its own as a big platform. Why don't you guys convey that message?
But the problem is in a private and confidential hearing, which the WBC was, and now in legal action moving forward, Conor Benn is constantly being told by his legal advice, keep your mouth shut because there's this ongoing case, you're suing these people, you've got this appeal process, and we have to go through that process. So listen, there's no one more. And, you know, I got asked the other day with Coogan, he was like, do you think Conor Benn's played this like process well? I said, not really, but he's played it real and raw. Like everything that's happened has come through Conor Benn. We've not been involved in the appeal process. We've not been involved in the document. I've not been giving him PR advice, media advice. He's done everything on his own. Yeah. So every now and again he comes out on social media and says something, and I go, oh, probably wouldn't have done that. But that's just, that's raw emotions from a young man. So I'm letting him run with it. And the bottom line is, excuse my language, everybody else. Right. Because it's your career now. You want to be the bad guy, you're going to be the bad guy, you're going to get, so what? Get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, this
might be a good thing, though, you not giving them PR advice.
But it would have been a lot smoother. But it's not. But also, I don't want to, I'm not saying I don't want to get involved. Right. But I'm here to, I can't do any more than come out and give him my support, which I've done. I've taken flack for it, I've taken criticism for it, but I believe in him. I'm only being honest with you. Like, you either believe him or you don't, and I do. I'm sorry. But for everything I've seen and for the moments, the dozens of times I've sat down with him in this process, I believe him. Call me a bad guy, I don't know. But I'm just telling you from my heart. So ultimately, that's how I feel. But he is on his own in this process a little bit. We're here for him. but he's out there fighting his own battles. But at the moment, he wants to carry on that battle. You know, he wants to sue the British Boxing Board of Control. He wants to sue these people. He wants to sue these people. He wants to prove his innocence to everybody so that every person on this entire world can say, we believe you. You're never going to get that perfect moment. So behind the scenes, talking about a boxing perspective, we're looking, you know, we will now make a decision where we will apply for a license for Conor Benn to fight. Could be Nevada, could be New York, could be Britain, could be an international license. Ultimately, we want to get him back in the ring probably in June. Okay. And that process, we would much rather go through that process with the British Boxing Board of Control. However, right now, that's the last thing that Conor Benn wants to do because he's fuming. But, you know, it means that he can box straight away in the UK. If not, his next fight will be internationally. No. And that's something that we'll have to decide in the coming days.
Well, according to his Twitter, Instagram, his next fight might be Errol Spence. No, we know we're not going to see that.
But look, one thing's for sure, he wants the biggest fights out there.
Yeah, got you.
I mean, like it or love it, everybody in the world is going to watch Conor Benn's next fight.
Well, right? Speaking of big fights, I'm sure you're very happy because you used to be Jake Paul's best friend. But now you guys aren't so cool. I'm sure you're very happy that Tommy Fury came away with that victory over Jake Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, obviously we've had our differences, but I do respect Jake Paul, and I respect him even more after last night. I mean, look, he can't fight. He's never gonna be a world champion. And when we throw back to nearly a year ago now, when I said he's an average professional fighter, that was a compliment. That wasn't like. And I watched him last night. I mean, look, he closes his eyes when he throws punches and he turns his back during, you know, and he does a lot of amateur things. But he's a guy who found boxing at like 24. He's got a decent jab. He's tough. He took a few good shots last night, but he's just not very good. Neither of them. But he did go the distance with a boxer. Literally, this is his first boxer he fought. So this is really a start. So can we really expect him to really be good? Well, you can when he says, I'm a world-class fighter that's going to beat Canelo Alvarez.
I mean, that's crazy when he talks bad about.
But then you get criticism. But then you get criticised when you give your opinion to say he's not very good. He's an average fighter. He's not very good. Tommy Fury is also not very good at all. What you had last night was two not very good fighters who were quite evenly matched. Tommy won. I gave him most rounds. Obviously, the knockdown made it quite interesting. Yeah. But I thought, give Jake his due. Like. He got in there, he had a go, but now we got to look at it and say, look, guys, like, for me, the rematch is just, I mean, look, I know people will watch it, but we've seen what they are, which is not very good. So the whole thing about I can be a professional fighter, I can go and you can't. You can't fight at any level professionally. Fact.
But this is the thing. Let me just respond to that. I'm sorry. Conor Benn wasn't really that good in the beginning. He's way better. He's way better.
Yeah, I know. But you're talking about but mate, he didn't turn his back during, like, he didn't close his eyes when he's throwing punches. I mean, like, but there's a lot of stuff that Jake's got that you can't teach. He has got heart. And he's got natural punch power, and I think he's got a decent chin, and I think he's a tough, you know. But he just, we can't keep debating the fact that this guy is actually any good. He's not.
We're not debating that. We're not debating that.
I know, but let's move on. Let's move on. We saw it, yeah. This guy's coming out. He's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. He's going to fight for the world title.
That was crazy, and I said that. I said that was crazy.
But that's just showing.
But look, just do one thing, yeah. Go away, fight KSI. It's absolutely massive, right? And then, because the reality is, every time you fight anyone with any ability, you will get beat.
Right. Well, so, I mean, I think Barak is trying to say there's potential for him to get better, but he'll never get to the level that he has.
Of course you get better. Everyone can get better.
Right, of course. But look, I think that was more trolling. Him talking about Canelo and all that is just what he does on social media. But I want to move on from this. I think that people will still watch the rematch. I like the KSI idea. And I have to tip my hat off to him because I know how vicious and brutal this sport is.
Listen, he's done
since I was 5. It's no joke to be inside that ring with no headgear and 10-ounce gloves.
Yeah, but two things. I mean, one, what he's done from a promotional sense to even get, would have made a lot of money last night. A lot of people were watching an 8-rounder between, as I said, two very average, professional. He is a professional. He is a professional boxer. He's not a YouTuber. I've always said that, right? But I just want to, I looked at it today and said, right, good, look. And that's not the end of Jake Paul, but it's just good to say, right.
Yeah, I mean,
let's move on to the serious stuff. We know what it is, and he's still got a future if he wishes to have it. But we just can't take him seriously as a contender. That's not the end of the world.
No, I don't think anybody's done that. I don't think anybody thought that he was a contender. I just think his words were saying him fighting Canelo and all of that made people dislike him. But what I'm saying is now he's just in a box where now he's a professional boxer. Let's see if eventually he can be any good. That's it.
No doubt.
And by the way, has the right, like anybody, to do whatever he wants in that respect.
Right.
Yes,
that's right.
And lastly, just to put things in perspective, I don't know what people have expected from him, but considering when he started boxing and what he's done since, I wasn't upset, surprised, or expected much more. Like, I thought he did well considering all of those things. But I want to talk about.
By the way, just to end on that, for the level of experience he has, right, which is none, right, I think he's done unbelievably well. Exactly. And actually, like I said, professional sense, not very good. Average. These guys have been fighting since they were 5.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? For what he's done. He has done really well. He's trained hard. He's built the fundamentals. He's tough. He's got a good chin. Mm-hmm. He's got a nice jab actually. But people realise, and you guys will know, you don't just turn around at 23, 24 and go, I'm going to be a professional boxer and be able to box at any level. No. So from what he's had, he's done brilliant.
Like he even said. He said, right, I believe he was about to say it.
He's exceeded expectations.
No, he exceeded his own expectations.
No, but I'm saying me as a fight fan and understanding the sport and dissecting it, he has. But look, let's move on from this. I want to talk about a young man that has a lot of skills left, right? 4-division champion who's gone back and forth with Conor Benn, I believe, on social media, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Adrian Broner recently put out a video on social media. I don't know if it was last night, the night before, about parting ways with the new streaming network BLK Prime after them offering him a multi-fight deal. It looks like it fell apart. 3 opponents fell out, and he's not fighting on February 25th, I believe, Rock.
Well, that's the past now.
No, yeah, it's the past now. Yeah, right. But he did say, Eddie, hit me up, everybody. I'm a free agent. You have a little history with him way back when the DAZN came to America.
Yeah,
Is there any room? Is there a possibility?
I don't know. I mean, look, I've had so many there was a time where I was desperate to sign Adrian Broner. I thought it was amazing. I mean, when I watched Adrian Broner beat Gavin Rees for the WBC lightweight world title in Atlantic City.
Yes.
10 years ago. One of the best fighters I've ever seen. And Gavin Rees was desperately trying to make the weight. And I went into the spa in the Bally's Hotel, and Adrian Broner was in the jacuzzi with his sunglasses on, with his boys around, and he just went, "Hey man, morning man, I know you." I was like, "Yeah," and I watched him up close live. Unbelievable talent. Right. That was 10 years ago, and I've had 3 or 4 messages in the last week from people trying to get me to work with Adrian Broner, and he has value. He's still a good fighter.
Have you ignored all of those messages? That's what
most of them, yeah. Most of them, yeah.
Wow.
But I just feel there's a price and there's a value, and it's probably not one Adrian would agree with. You know, so and I think he'll struggle to accept that. Obviously he's made a lot of money. He's been involved in some big fights, but he's not the draw he once was. He'll always be a draw. Right. Because he's got a great story, and someone sent me a documentary. I didn't even know it existed on Adrian Broner. I only watched the clip. It was like a minute long. I mean, what a story.
Yeah.
In terms of where he come from, the suffering he's had mentally and stuff like that. I like Adrian Broner, but
I think I think considering the way boxing is structured, and it's so hard to beat a draw at all, right? There's only an elite class they're pulling people. I think he's still not at the top of the list, but he's still on.
He has value. He has value.
Right.
Listen,
So,
Conor Benn against Adrian Broner, you know, it was a fight that we were trying to make previously.
right. Would you make that? Would you try to make that now that he's a free agent?
Yeah, I'd do that fight.
Well, are you okay with that being Conor Benn's next fight once he's?
Well, yeah, he wants to fight Eubank, Pacquiao, Errol Spence, Gervonta Davis. These are the fights he wants. He's telling me he'll take next. So yeah, for sure. You know, Broner.
No, but you say Eubank. I thought he doesn't want Eubank anymore. Because,
no, well, listen. For me, that's one of the biggest fights out there.
Okay.
There's so much bad blood in
You
that
want
fight.
that?
Yeah, I do because it's massive.
Right. Okay.
All right. Another big news. Well, actually, when Serrano fought and became undisputed, a lot of chatter about her fight with Katie Taylor. I remember at one point, supposed to be in Croke Park. I don't know, 70, 80,000 people. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's not available, too much money. It's going to be in a venue holding 8,000. Seems odd considering she's such a massive star in Ireland. Conor McGregor comes out, hey, I'll pay for security. I'll help make it happen. Is that real? I mean, is that a true story? Has Conor offered himself? And if so, is there a possibility for that fight to be in Croke Park?
Yeah, we'd love it to be. I mean, obviously, May 20th is the scheduled date for that fight, so it's coming around fast. But I went to Ireland, I met Conor McGregor, we had a great time. It's not just a case of him paying for the security. I mean, it's talking about $1 million, really, right. is like the excess number. Wow. But he wants to get involved. He loves Katie Taylor. He wants to support Katie Taylor. So we'll see. You know, it has to make sense for him as well. And he's got, you know, right. the proper 12 Irish whiskey, the apple flavour now. I tried that. It's very, very nice, you know. And
don't do commercials on our show.
The Black Forge Irish Stout. Shout out to Conor McGregor. No, but you know, we're working away. Obviously, it's a massive event in Ireland, and we'd love to take it to Croke Park. But it's got.
What's the latest on it? Like in detail.
Just talking really. I think it's likely that the earlier fight will be in the 3 Arena. But you know, really, I see Katie's career ending in Ireland over the next couple of years. So hopefully we can make sure Croke Park is a part of that.
Wow. Okay. Well, one thing I want to talk about is I think people just thought that Conor was just going to pay and walk away. No, Conor wants to make money from it too. You know. But one thing I want to talk about is you won the Berlanga sweepstakes. Can you leak anything about his future?
Yeah, he'll be fighting in June. We'd love that to
Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend.
Well, it'd be nice, but that's also the date of what looks like Teofimo Lopez against Josh Taylor. So we have to look at that. I'd like him to fight in New York or Puerto Rico. I think that'd be wild to take an event there as well.
That would be nice.
Ultimately, the plan is 2 fights and then Canelo Alvarez.
They gotta be good names though.
Of course. If he can prove himself, you know, there has to be 2 top 15. Listen, with his profile, with his star power, with his exciting style, with him being Puerto Rican, if he can put himself in a sweepstake for Canelo Alvarez and be credible for that fight, it's a huge fight.
Can you throw some names out there, Eddie, that are credible enough in order to execute that? Like who are the potential guys that he might fight?
I mean, you have to look at the top 15, you know, maybe even guys that Canelo Alvarez has been in with in the past. I don't know. I mean, I think you just we could do that fight now and people would be interested, but it's the credibility. One thing with Canelo Alvarez is, and he's always quite insistent on, is it's not like you have to earn your shot, but it's like, if you want to fight me, you've got to kind of prove that you box some world level guys. I don't think you should just, like, he's not interested in just doing it because it's Mexico v Puerto Rico. But at the same time, that would add to the size of the fight if Berlanga can prove himself as a world-class contender, and we believe he can.
Okay. All right, well, you heard the names that he put out. He put out Triple G and Munguia.
I think that's more likely for fight 2, in all honesty. Like, I don't see him having the layoff that he's had coming back in a fight like that, but that is a great fight. Listen, Berlanga against Munguia that's a fantastic fight, you know, and even against Golovkin. But for me, I see him against a top 15 guy in June and then move into a tougher fight at the end of the year. And if he can win those fights, I think he's going to put himself right in there.
We've heard some names that were thrown around there. I don't want to say it here though, maybe when we're done with this interview, but we're looking forward to the fight announcement, to say the least. Speaking of Canelo, let's talk about the biggest star in boxing, or one of them at least. He's fighting in Mexico. At least he put it out there. Everybody putting it out there. So it hasn't been finalized, or what else needs to be done in order to know about Canelo's next fight?
Yeah, I mean, conversations ongoing with Sal and Eddie Reynoso, and John Ryder is the guy. You know, contracts are going backwards and forwards, and we hope that in the next sort of 48 hours, we'll be in a good position to get that fight done. Obviously, Canelo has announced May the 6th will be the historic event in Guadalajara, which will just be an incredible event for the country and for the career of Canelo Alvarez. We're hoping that's going to be John Ryder, his mandatory challenger, the interim champion with the WBO. So fingers crossed, we'll get that all wrapped up. Everything's looking great, and hopefully we have some positive news later in the week.
All right, so 48 hours, possibly we'll have an official announcement. Great. Thanks as always, Eddie.
Cheers, boys.
Talk to you.
Introducing the new DAZN Boxing Show podcast. No matter the time or the place, getting your boxing content has become easier than ever. Tune in as we give you exclusive insights, predictions, fight night recaps, and more alongside the biggest names in the game. All for free. Available globally every Thursday across all audio streaming platforms, and with new episodes dropping weekly to give you the latest news. Just type in the DAZN Boxing Show podcast, listen in, and enjoy.